Hello there, welcome to my channel. Bernard here. Thanks for coming back. Please, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscription button so that you get notified anytime I get new content posted. Okay, so today in this video I want to show you some of the vital Linux command that you should know. Once you know this command, your life will be way more easier. I promise you that. Without saying too much, let's just go straight into this. The first one and the most popular is the ls, which is like the list command. So the command lets you see the files and directories inside a specific directory, which I will be calling at some point current working directory, or by default it's called cd, the current directory. It normally lists the files and directory in ascending alphabetical order. And so if I just go to my terminal here, I'm using Terminator, so that's the terminal I'm using. By default on Mac, you could have this normal terminal. So if I click here, it should open this kind of window for me. And if you want to install the Terminator, you could use, if you are on Linux, you could do sudo apt install Terminator, and that will install this for you. But here I'm using Mac. I don't want to go into much of those, but I assume you already have terminal on your computer, and here we're looking at those commands. So the first one on my list is ls, which is the list command. If I hit enter, then I will have what I had on my computer, on my screen before. So it basically lists everything that I had in my current position. Now I'm at home, so these are all the files that I have at home. The yellows are folders, the reds are executable files, so if I run those ones to perform some tasks for me, and the white are the read-only files. So these are they're also files, they have information in them, but they only contain information that I could read, so I cannot execute those ones. Okay, so it's based on, they're colored based on permissions. Okay, and also like the type. And by default, as I said earlier, the ls kind of like lists stuff alphabetically, and so you could basically see that in ascending order. And so again, the command is ls. So if you hit ls, you're able to see wherever you go. So if I go into one of these folders, say this Jedi, if I go into that, I'm into that folder now. If I do ls, I should see what is in that particular folder. So that's what I have here. And I will go back one step. I will show you how to go back in just in a minute. But the ls also like have several other flags or functionalities attached to them. And so if you do, for example, ls-l, it shows the result in a long format. So if I do ls-l, it will show me the same folders that I just showed you earlier, or the same content in that particular working directory I was in, but it will also like show me like every other information like permissions. So here I have it's a directory actually, that's the D, and it has the read, the write, and the execute permission and permissions granted on this particular folder that is called opt, and it tells me when it was created, July 18, 2022, and it tells me the size of that. Okay, so it's very handy for you to, like, for example, if you want to check permissions for a certain folder, maybe you're sharing to someone and the person in the group doesn't have full permission, you may want to use that to like check and then grant permissions using the search mode or whatever, which I'll be showing you again in a while. And so that's the first one. We did ls, which is just the general one that will just tell you what is there. We did ls-l, which is the long formation of the ls that will show you the information about the directory and stuff. Or if you want to be more specific, we do the -h, which is just human. It will just show me the same thing again, but it will show me everything in human readable format. So it just showed me the same information but in the human format. If I do ls-capital S, it will sort the results by their file size basically. And if I hit enter now we could see that before I had in alphabetical order, now I have download. So it's just telling me that okay, this is how stuff are sorted based on size. You don't have to worry too much about that, but yeah, if you want to know what is taking more space in a certain location that you are on your computer, then it's a very good command that you should know. The other one is the ls-r, which is the reverse. So what it does is it shows files and directory in a reverse order or descending order, if you want to think of it alphabetical. So if I hit enter, it's just the opposite of what I had earlier. Not really the opposite of what I had earlier, but in some way, yeah, the opposite of what I had earlier. So it's just the reverse. There's also ls-a. The ls-a kind of shows all the files, including the hidden files. So in the previous ones, I was just showing some files that were not having dot in front of them, but with this I can be able to like see every file to show me everything. even the hidden ones with the dash A. So just the A is for all, so list all basically. And there is ls-la, sorry, ls-la, which is still showing you kind of like this shows the long format of the files and directory including the hidden ones. So in the previous one that was just the -l, it showed without the hidden ones. Now it will show you all the information including the hidden ones. Okay, there are several other ones such as -h, which is human readable, -f classify, -d directory. So if I do ls-d, it's like, yeah, it's just showing me some, gives information about the folder itself. Okay, just tells you that you're here. Okay, and so that is that. There is also another one which will allow you, another command that will allow you to like customize some of these commands. It's called the alias. So it's called the alias. I may not be running it now, but it's just the alias. So for example, when we're small, we had this alias. So if I say Bernard, I could say my name is Bernard alias, which is also known as aka. So alias is just another name for the same person. Okay, so if I say Bernard, also known as Terima, or also known as Akawase, or also known as Text Rafika, it means all these attributes, all these names are the same as saying Bernard. Okay, so that's similar in Linux. So if you use alias, it allows you like to pass some identity or some information, like it allows you to attach a command to maybe a short format that you'll be using more easily on your computer basically. So if I have a long command that I need to type always, maybe to point to a certain directory or to execute some binary, I don't have to be typing it always. I could just use alias to like link that to a shortcut or a short form of the same stuff, so that anytime I just type that shortcut, I execute that long command. So an example will be, I could just do something like alias ls, which is just my list, and I could just say there's no space, is equal to, and then I'll use quotation, and then I'll put the command. So list, and I want to color everything to be auto, so I want to use colors, and dash, I could do long human, and then close that. So what I'm doing now is that for any time I type ls, it should execute this particular command, and this command assigns colors to whatever you have in a directory. So just like what you have on the screen now, I have several colors that tell me, oh, once I see yellow, I know, oh, this is actually a folder. I don't have to try to edit it with Nano, for example, and stuff like that. So it's very handy. So this will kind of like allow you to like, anytime you call ls, it should execute this command rather than the native ls, for example. And so if I hit enter, it has worked now. So anytime I do ls, it will show me everything like that. So it's now long compared to like before when I was doing ls, it was just showing me the list of stuff. You remember that were just in that location. Now if I do ls, it's giving me like something that is long. What if I change this here and just leave it that way and hit enter? If I do ls now, I go back to this. So ls allows you to like, okay, pick a long command, a command that is complicated to type or to take minutes of your time or seconds of your time of your life to like type always, to like compress it in a short form that will be a short code, and use ls like, okay, anytime I call this command, that's what should be executed. Yeah. So another good example of how I use it is, for example, like if I go to my bash rc now and I have this alias is piping or pointing to several of my executables. For example, if I want to type MATLAB, I could just stand here and type MATLAB, and my MATLAB will get executed rather than going to the directory where the binary file for executing MATLAB is. And so this is a very handy command that you should know. If you want to add this to your, like for example, what I just typed now is just in the current section. So if I close this section, then all the information that I use that alias to pipe into here will be lost. But if you want to make it more permanent, then you have to like add it to your bash rc, so that anytime you create a new session that get automatically executed, then you like persistently use that particular stuff. I'll do a video on how to do that, but it's just in your bash rc. So you just use tilde, which is at home, and then you could do a .bash rc, .bash rc. So this particular file is what you edit. Usually the last line you just pipe in that, and that will do it. Now I don't want to go there because that's another level. Let's just stick to the command that we wanted to do. The next one is cd, which stands for current directory. So if I do cd, by default you take me back home. So if I do cd enter, if I ls, I'm already at home. What if I go into one of these folders, for example the project? So I'm going into my projects and I ls. Now I'm in this particular project. What if I want to go back home? Just type cd and hit enter. If I ls, I'm no longer in that directory, so I've gone back. So the cd command is used to change the current working directory, that is in which the current user is working in. So the cd actually stands for the current address area. It is one of the most frequently used command in Linux terminal. So it's a must know. Like there's no way you can use terminal without knowing how to go into a folder, go one step back, or go one step forward, or know where you are. That kind of, these are very, very handy. So you need to know at least how to use cd, how to use ls, which I've just taught you, and the next one, how to use tab on your computer keyboard. So for example, when I was typing, if I want to go into one of the folders here, say the software folder, I will just type S. I don't have to be typing complete. I just see tab now and it completes that for me. So the tab is also a very good shortcut, as you know. It auto completes for you. So if I just type tab now, it completes that for me. So I could just hit enter and I'm in my software. So I have all my tools box here and stuff like that. If I want to go one step back, I just have to do cd ... so that I'll go back to where I was. So I just moved one step into a folder. I want to go back to where I was. All I have to do is cd and do ... which is take me one step back. And here I'm back at the home. What if I go into two folders? So let's go into something like lc. I have a folder here called lc, and I go into maybe say Bernard. Now I've gone into two folders ahead. What if I want to go back to where I was? I could do cd tilde. Tilde is for home. It will take me back home. If I don't want to use this particular one, this one would always take me back home wherever I'm at. What if I go back to that? I'm using up arrows now to bring out the commands that I issued initially. So I'm going back to where I was. Do ls to see where you are. Sorry, to see what you have in that particular folder. And I want to go 2 steps back. I could just do ... So take me 2 steps backward, and that should take me back to the home where I was before. If I hit enter and if I do ls, you can see that I'm back at my home. Okay, so that's how to use cd. For now, that's the most important ones that I want you to know. Just know that you could do cd tilde / to take you back home, or you could use the ... You could use them as many as you want. You could do cd / it should just take you this number of steps backward from wherever you are. So if I'm 20 folders ahead and I want to shift up to like 20 folders backward, I could just do this number of ... for ... Hope that makes sense. Please drop any questions in the comment. If there's anything that I'm not explaining the way you want to, or you're not quite clear, just let me know. And so that's the cd. The next one that you should know is the cat command. So the cat command allows you to like create a single or multiple files to view the content. It allows you to create a single or multiple files, but also to view the content of files or to concatenate files, and also to redirect the output of the terminal to or a file, for example. And so if I do something like cd and have here a log here, which is basically a file that anytime I sync stuff to the server or sync stuff from the server, I log, so I know what got pulled from the server into my machine. So I have the log there. So if I do cat of that, so here just double click on there. If you're using the mouse, you could just use a middle click and that will paste it for you. Or you could also use the computer keyboard, so do Ctrl C or Command C and Ctrl V or Command V to paste it. And so if I hit enter, this will tell me all the information in that particular folder. So in that folder, if I go, so that particular file, if I go into it, this is it. At this point, I think this is what it was receiving and stuff like that. I don't want to bother you with most of the information, but this is how to view files. So now I just use cat, the name of the file. Let me use another file that's way less complicated. Say the was greeting. This is the file I use to create an environment. So I'm going to do Ctrl C to cancel this command from the current typing region. So I do Ctrl C, it takes me to a new line without executing that command. So that's also handy to know. So if I do cat and I paste in, just do cat and paste in this one, for example. Let's see what is in this file. Basically, that's what I want to do now. And if I hit enter, then you can see that it's what I use to create a conda environment basically. So these are the packages or the dependencies that I install, and this is the channel, and this is the name of the particular environment. So if I do conda activate this, I should be able to go into the environment, but that's not the talk of today. Let's clear the screen. So clears the screen for you so that it's not too busy for you. So that's how to do cat. You could also like use it to display content of multiple files. So I've shown you that if I do cat of the was grading, for example. So if I do was grading, that will display the content of was grading. But also if I add a second file here, so I have requirement, I believe, requirement.txt, and I have this.yml. So these are two files. If I hit enter, what will happen? It will display the content of the first one, and after that one it will display the content of the second one. So this is the content of the second file, and this one was the content that I showed you earlier. So you could use cat to display content from more than two files, or even two files, so more than one file basically. And so just to clear it out, if I do cat of just the requirement, we'll see from numpy downward. So I'll delete that. So I'll just do cat of requirement, so it just shows me this, with just this stuff here. So you could use cat to display the content of more than two files. Sometimes when you want to compare files and you don't want to use div, then cat is also a very good command that could be useful in comparing like content of files. Okay, what if you want to create a new file with cat? You could do cat and then you could pipe in something, then that will create a new file. So the here command allows you to like print the last 10 lines of a file. So if I have any file, so for example this one is not very long, so let's pick the one that has like more than 10 lines, and maybe this readme probably should have more than one. If I do cat of the install, okay, it has less than 10 lines, so that will not be a good example. So let me use the server log. This one for sure has more than 10 lines. Code from server. Let's just copy that. If I do cat of that, it has more than 10 lines, and you could scroll through forever because that's been pushing for a long time. If I want to just view the last 10 lines of that particular file, what I have to do is use a command called tail. So this tail, and then I'll paste in that particular file that I want to view the last 10 lines of. In this case, it's this particular one. If I hit enter, then instead of like printing the entire list that we had before, it just tells me the most recent stuff that happened during the syncing of my computer to the server. So in this case, it just showed me the most recent sync that happened, or the last event that happened basically. But these are 10 lines and they are the last in that particular file. So that's how you use your tail. Your tail allows you to like view the last lines in a certain file. Another command is the pwd. The pwd is your print working directory. So it basically stands for print working directory. As I just said, it prints the path of your current working directory starting from the root. So it just starts from the root. In this case, Bernard.da, sorry about that, Bernard.da, and I'm currently at my home. That's why you don't have much. But if I go into a few folders, say Bernard, and I go into my codes, I have some codes here. If I do pwd at this point, then it will print the path, like all the directories, sorry, yeah, all the directories behind or that I passed through to get to where I am. So pwd is also very handy. For example, you want to save something and you want to know where you are, or you want to grab the string of the path to where you want to save, then you could just use that one, and then now I know exactly where I am. I could just copy this and paste in my Python script, and then my file will get saved to this particular location, for example. So pwd is very, very like handy. Like you must know it. You must know the cd, you must know the cat, you must know the ls. Another one is touch. With the touch command, so let me just go into my test here, which is where I do some test scripts. And with touch command, it allows you to like create or modify a file. And so if I do something like touch, if I just do touch and I do test Linux class, or maybe .txt, just so Now if I ls, I will see that particular file here, and the txt, so it's created there, but it's empty basically because we do cat of that particular test Linux stuff. There's nothing in it, that's why it's like that. So touch allows you to like, whereas nano sometimes you have to like maybe type something in the file after creating the file name, the touch just allows you to like, create an empty file, for example. So you'll say create touch of this any name, it will just create that file for you, but it will not paste anything in it, for example. So touch is also very good, and it should be handy for you. You should be able to like use touch. I will do a more detailed video of like how to like use the different flags alongside touch, but at least for a start, just know that touch will be able to create a file for you. Another very useful command is the man. So the man, it's for manual. Man is for manual. It just allows you to like get like information about any of these commands that I've been explaining or that I'll be explaining in the future. So if I do man ls, it gives me the manual of ls, of the command ls. So everything that I've been saying, if you don't want to go online to Google, this is how you find it. If you just do man of any of the commands, it will just like give you every information about it, like all the flags and what the command is all about. So it tells you, for example, list directory contents, that's the name, the ls, and every other stuff that I've been explaining before is in this particular one. Dash a, which I didn't explain, but dash l, for example. And if we go to dash l, which I explained not too long ago, for the long format, it's here. I mean, it's a bit long, but it's the entire documentation for any of them. So if I go back and do man, and if I do something like say man, and I do cd, it will tell me everything about cd. If I do pwd or any of those stuff, it will just give you everything. And to quit, you just do q, and that will quit. So just type q on the computer, and that will quit that particular one. The next command is df. The df command in Linux or Unix is used to show the disk usage and information. So df is abbreviated for disk free. So it basically tells you how the disk space is being used. So it displays the amount of disk space available on the file system containing each file name argument. If no file name is given, the space available on all the current mounted file system will be shown. And so what happens if I do something like df-a, df-a, and I hit enter, then it gives me all the disk and all the space they used, the one available, the capacity, the free and stuff like that, the amount. So just this is like knowing like, okay, for example, your computer is choking or is close to choking, or you want to run a program that will generate a lot of files that will need, say, 10 terabytes and your computer is 16 terabytes and you don't know how much you currently have. It's a very handy command to know how much you have available, and then you could know how you could like reprogram your code so that it doesn't run for everything, but it just runs to generate all the amount for the space that you have currently on your hand. This also have several other flags. For example, you could list what I just did here. If I go into one of these folders, for example, if I go into fc and I do the df-lh, which is just listing long but also as human, then I could see all the folders in that particular place, but it will show me in more readable format basically. Okay, just know that there are other ones like -a, which I typed before, which include the pseudo duplicate and inaccessible file system. So just list everything, tells you information about the disk or everything. The -B is the block size, so I think of that as a block size. The -h is the human readable. The -H prints the size in powers of 1000, so like in gigabytes and stuff like that. It has the -i, which is the inodes, and -k, which is for like. It also has like short flags, so it has df-l, which is like for local, so it just gives you the limit listing for local file system. I don't want to go into a bunch of this, but if you want to know every other flag associated with this particular df command, just do again man, which is the manual, and then do a df, and that will tell you everything about it. So there you go. It just displays a free disk space, and I'll quit with q. Okay, Let's go to the next command. For the help command, basically we get the complete information about any of the commands. So if I do help space cd and I hit enter, then it will give me like, this is like, yeah, for current directory, change current directory, and blah blah blah. So it's just normal, like normal help that you have in Python, that will give you like a doc string of that particular command. It's similar to that. But if I do something like help, if I do something like help -d and I do something like pwd, so that should be able to like give you like a short description about pwd and stuff like that. But this is like an invalid command. It says an invalid command there. I don't know why, but that's what it's supposed to do. Just someone that knows what that's supposed to, the right way of executing that particular one, should type it in the comment section. But if I do just help without the -d, I'm surprised that the -d, which was like for a flag for a short, didn't work. Okay, it's supposed to be a -s actually. Maybe something changed. Well, that gives you a summary of pwd, which is also very handy. So instead of doing man, which will give you pages of that, you could use a help command and paste in any of the command that you want to know about, and it just give you a summarized version of whatever that command does. Another one is called the factor. The factor command prints the prime numbers of each specified integer numbers. If none are specified in the command line, it will read them from the standard input. So now we're not doing maths, but just know that there is something I call factor. Okay, so for example, if I do factor 50, so 50 is a number and I'm doing factor of 50, if I hit enter, okay, it complains again because bash blah blah blah. But something like that, I guess, is just so you know, it's supposed to be like print all the prime factors of a prime number. So let's try this with 75. Again, someone that knows why I'm getting this instead of a correct output should let me know in the comment section. Okay. Another command is the uname. The uname command lets you print out the same information and default to outputting the kernel name itself. And so, for example, if we do something like uname -a, what do we get? We get the kernel information. Basically, it prints out all the system information. You don't have to know that, but just know that it's available. Another one is the make dir, which is make directory. So I'm going back home at this point, and I want to create a directory here called test Linux. Okay, so how do I do that? One way will be to go with the GUI, click here and look for this particular location and create that, which will take you time. So you could do that with make dir. So there's make dir, which is make directory, and if I just type in the name of the directory, I want to call this one a test Linux tutorial, just so I know, so that I'm able to delete it afterwards. And if I hit enter, then it creates that particular. If I do ls now, I'll see it here. So it created that directory for me. What if I want to create a chain of directories in this particular location? So it's not just, for example, this particular one, but I want to like create another directory, say source and Python, in this particular directory that I just created here, where the command will be make dir -b, which is like a parent or something. And then if I paste that particular directory I just created here, and then I could create stuff that I source, for example, and Python. Ordinarily, if I want to create more than one directory at a time with just make dir, it wouldn't work. I need this flag to make like a tree of directories basically. And so if I hit enter now, it will create all those directories. So if I do ls, what is in that the test Linux, we could see that all those directories are there actually. So if you go into any of those, it will tell you that, yeah, that got created. So it's good for like creating when you don't have to be going to that one, create one directory at a time, because like what I was saying before was like, for example, I want to do something like let me just delete. So to delete, you use the rm-rf recursive, and you give it information, the permissions, and then let's delete the one I just created there. So I'm just deleting everything. So if I ls now, that's gone. together with all the children or the other subdirectories that were in that particular directory. They are gone. So rm, remember, once you use this, it's gone. Like, you can't find it in your trash bin or anywhere. So be careful, just double check stuff before executing this particular command. Okay, so I will make another directory again, call it test Linux, and now I will try to create more than 2 directories. Test Linux was one of them, and then the second one, let's try to do something like a source. This will give me error because without that flag -p, which is what I want to show you, you will not be able to create more than 1 directory at a time. So suppose I just did something like this, it would work, but if I go with 2, it wouldn't work. So now I can see that got created. Okay, so the -p is the parent. Here is -m, which set file mode, as in ch mode. So the -m like is for mode basically. So those are the other short flags that are available that I'm saying. There is the p, there is the -z, and there is the -v. For now, what is important, or what you should know, just know that you could use make dir to make directory. Okay, and you could use rm-rf to remove directory. So let me delete what I created here with that command, so it's gone now. Okay, there's another command called the gzip. So the gzip is for, the gzip is like a Linux command that you could use to like compress or decompress your data. So in Windows, you could like do right click and do compressed, or you go to share and then you could do zip or something like that. On Linux here, you don't have to do all those right click. You just do, if I want to zip any of these files, I just have to do my gzip and paste the name of the file that I want to zip. And if I want to zip that one, okay, let's try. I've not tried not zipping a folder. If I want to zip this one, if I just zip, hit enter, that worked. Now that readme that I had before has now turned to this, so it's not a zip format of that. Okay, so what if you want to decompress? The gz is what this gzip that we just typed. If you want to decompress that particular file, what you want to do is to your gzip again, but you want to use the -d. So the decompress, D for the decompress, just think of it as the decompress, which is the action you want to perform, and passing the name of the file. So this is the name of the file together with the extension. So it has to end with the .z, like that. And if I hit enter and our ls now, that particular uncompressed file initially is now back to what I had initially. So we successfully compressed and decompressed with the zip. Okay. You could also like compress like multiple files, which I will not be demonstrating here, but all you have to do is just type in your gzip, okay, and just pass in all the files that you want to compress, as many as you want, and just hit enter and that will compress. Now I'm not running it because I don't want to compress all those files. And to decompress, you just have to, and that will compress each of them with the, so just like we had before with the .zp at the end, gz at the end, all those ones that we selected will also have the same stuff. To decompress, you just have to do the -d, which is decompress, and pass in as many as you want, and that will decompress all the files for you. Okay, another command that is not very popular, but if you care about it, you know it's not very important, is what is. It's called the what is command. What is. So the what is command is used to like display one-line manual page description for command. So just like as the name, it's not like the help, but this one just displays for just not just a short description of that particular command. It's just like a one-line description of that particular command that you're looking for. And so it's also like, yeah, pretty good. So if I do what is ls and hit enter, I'm surprised that it's taking like so long to queue to exit and close that. There's also another command called the who. So the who command lets you print out the list of logged in users. You don't have to know that if you know like someone that's managing several other people using your computer, or you're not on the server, then you don't need to know that. So I want to keep it as basic as possible, so I'll go over the who. I'll leave that. They also say another command called the free, and the free command is used to show the memory, so the RAM and the swap information. So if you just type free here, okay, the bash doesn't recognize that, but yeah. Supposed to, like, if on the Linux all these commands are not showing stuff here, it's not because I don't know what it's doing, but I'm on the Mac and I know that if you type it on the Linux, it will give you the correct information that you're expecting. And so if you're using Linux, just try those commands and let me know in the comment if you get the same errors or it worked for you. Okay, there's another command called the SL command, which is a humorous program that runs on Steam. You don't have to know that. You have need some authority to be able to execute that, and I believe people that will be using that particular command will already, like, know that it exists and this is how to use it. Okay, there's another command called the echo. Echo is just like print. Think of it like print in Python, or which is with display in MATLAB. So it just prints something back to screen. So if I do echo hello world, and then it prints that back to the screen. Notice that you don't need parentheses or brackets or any of those complicated syntaxing that you have in Python or sorry, C++ or say MATLAB or wherever, where you have to like pass and tell it that it's a string. This one just tell it echo and pass in wherever you should echo next read, and it prints that back to you on the screen for you. And so sometimes you want to like maybe echo something and pass it into another file, so you could save it, for example, or you have to, which is called piping. And so suppose I have that echo and I want to pass it into a file called log.txt or foo.txt. All I have to do is do echo, and now let me just call this as a string so that you know that it goes to do that. I'll do hello world, and I'll close my quotation, and I'll do this arrow, which is like pipe, this side triangle, and give the name of the file to which I want to save the information as that.txt. If I hit enter now, I should see that on my screen somewhere, foo.txt here. If you do cat of that, then you should see that hello world in it. So basically you could use that pipe to like save information into certain files. So sometimes you want to print something on the screen but it's too long and you don't want to scroll around, you could log those into a file with just using this arrow and then providing the name of the file to which you want to log. You could also like append, like now it was the first time that I was creating that particular file. I used just one and it was able to save this hello world. What if I don't delete this information and add more to it? Basically what I'm saying is that I could also append to existing files. So for example, the install readme.txt, which I already have here, which is a bit empty. So if I do cat of install.txt, it only has how to activate one of the environment inside. What if I want to add another thing to that particular file? I could just do something, maybe for example echo, and let me pass in a string that says my name is, I was Bernard. Close that, and then I'll do two of those just to append, and then I'll pass in the name of that file, which is the install.readme.txt. If I hit enter now, and if I do a cat of the install readme.txt, then I will see that it added, sorry, I keep dragging that, it added this line to whatever we had before. So you could use that to append text to existing files. So that's also like very good to know. There are other commands such as groups. I wouldn't be explaining that here because of the people that are using those commands, people who are managing a large group. There's another, and they already know all this stuff. This is more targeted to like the beginners people, and so I don't want to bother you with like commands that you wouldn't be using anytime in the near future. But feel free to like Google and explore. There are more than 101 Linux commands, but I'm just explaining the ones you need every day, especially when you're starting with Linux. Okay, there's another one which is called the password. So just like password, p like a pass wd, and the command changes the password of the user account. So if you want to change your password, that's the command you're going for. You just type in that and put in the login, and voila, you go. There's another command called W, which displays information about the user that is currently active on the machine. I'm now on a Mac. Most likely this will not work, but okay, it works. So it just showed me that it's Bernard that is active, and it tells you the TTR and login, blah blah, and a lot of stuff like that. Okay, so that's W. W tells you the active users. I think that would also be nice to know. There's another command called the who am I. So it's the who am I. The who am I displays the user name of the current effective user. So it gives the name of the current user, and now I'm Bernard, I'm the one using the computer now, so it just displays them. So it just gives you your identity basically. You could do, if you don't know how to use it, go to the who am I -help -version blah 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 to print a bunch of stuff for you. There's another one called history, and the history, if you type history, you will get a list of the last 500 commands used. So if I do history, this will be in the tutorial, it will give me all those commands that I've been using here, which is pretty good, you know. So it says those history, and you can access the history by using up arrow on your keyboard. So if I do up, it will bring in all the commands that I've been running ever since the last 500. Okay, so history is also good for you to know, and you could also like save all these commands, for example, that I'm teaching you now, into a file by using what? Type that in the comment section, and I will draw someone and give them a reward for paying attention. Okay, so for example, if you want to pass all the information in the history into something, remember what I taught you, you could do something.some log or something, and then you could save all the output that the history command will give into this particular file, for example. So that was the answer actually, so I'm not giving anybody anything again. There's another command called the login. The login command initiates a user's section, so it just logs in, just as a name. I'm only teaching you that for now, you don't need it as a beginner. There's another command called the cp, which is there for copy. And so say I want to make a copy of this here and paste it in another directory, maybe in the, which place should I paste it in? Let me just make a new directory here and call it demo, so that I put all the chunks here. Okay, I didn't make there. Okay, so I did it wrong. That's make there. Now I have a demo. I want to make a copy of this install node into the demo. All you want to do is to copy -f. You don't have to use -f, for sometimes you have the permissions, but just to be safe, I do the -f always. And then you just type in the name of the file and then do tab to complete it. So install and then do tab, it completes. And from here, go into demo, use this folder, which is in the current location. And I want to basically copy this from this location and paste it into this place. I hit enter and I ls what is in demo, as you see the install. So that's the copy. Basically, it copies the file. You could also copy directories into that place. So I could make a copy of one of those directory into that place, but I just have to use an -r flag. So suppose this was a directory, then I have to do -r. Could do -rf or -r, that's fine. That would be recursive, and to copy the directory for you. Okay. Now I don't want to copy any directory, but test that. Let me know if it doesn't work. Just type in the comment section. Let me know if it works for you or not, and we could fix it. You could also paste the error that you get in the comment section, and we'll all work on it together. Another handy command that you should know is called the move command. So it's the mv. So you could use the move to rename files, or you could also use the move to move files. So remember that we had a file that we copied into this daemon. We could rename that particular file to something else now. So let's do that. So we could do it from where we are, anywhere we are. We just have to know where the file is, or we could use cd to go into this and do the operation. Since we're doing Linux command, let's just try to use them as much as possible, so that you practice alongside with me. So if I do cd into demo, so I'm just going into that directory called demo. If I ls, it's just a single file that I copied there is here, and I could rename this particular file to something else. And to rename it, I just have to do mv move, and I tell the file. So I just copied the name and pasted it here. You could do tab, you just type in and do tab, and that will show up for you too. And we want to rename it to something like test mv usage.txt. Okay, so we're just changing the name to that. If I hit enter now, the file will change from what it was the install readme to whatever we want it to be. So you could use the mv to move file, but also to rename files. So what if I want to move this file back to the home? All I have to do is just do move -f from here. This is the file, and I want to go one step backward, so it's going back home. Or you could do tilde / which is a shortcut of home. If I hit enter, if I check here, there's nothing in this particular directory because this file has been moved one step back. And let's go back one step back, ls, and we should find that particular file here, which is this one. Okay, we don't need this file here. Let's remove it with rm-f. I'm just trying to use most of them so that you practice alongside with me. And if you do enter, and we will clear, so that's deleted. So the move is very important for moving files, renaming files, and stuff like that, which I think is very crucial. There's another one that if you're using a server, for beginners you may not need it now, but at some point in your career you may need it. It's called the ps. The ps command is used to identify, so it's actually the ps like that. It used to identify programs and processes that are running on the systems and the resources they are using. And so if I do ps and hit enter, then it will give me the PID, which is just the ID of the processor being used and how much of the resources being used. If you want to get the full information about this, you could also do something like top. If I hit enter, then it will tell me, it will keep on refreshing within a second or so, and it will tell me what is running and who is using what and what is sleeping and how much resources available. And I just go over this summary here. It will give you a lot of information, how much CPU is being used, how much resources are available on the computer. So before running anything, and if you're using a shared computer, say a server, like for example, you want to type this command to see where your colleague is already running something that is highly computational. If that's the case, then you may want to wait so you don't get to choke the computer and stuff like that. So this is a very good command to know. So I just type top. The command is called top. If you type top, it will give you the summary of what is running and who is using what and what is available. Similarly, if you use the ps, it gives you the identity of the particular programs and the processes that are running. And so those two commands, especially if you're using servers, it's good to know. There's another one called queue. This one, you use it to queue or terminate process. So suppose you know this process and you want to kill it, you just have to do queue and then pass in the PID, which is this number here. So just copy that and paste it there, and if you hit enter, that will queue that particular process. Yes, how about if have a program, say you have Python, and you use multi-process to run, so you have a lot of Pythons as the processes going on, you want to kill all of them. All you have to do is use the command called key all, and then just pass in the name of the command. In this case, I'm using bash, so I have several of terminals open, and that's why you have a lot of them. I could key all of them using this particular key all, and then I could just pass in bash, key or bash, and all of them will die off. So these are the terminals that are reporting there. So I have a lot of them. So each of these windows are counting in that list that you just saw here. Okay, so key all is also good. Sometimes when your computer is choking, you want to key all the processes. That's the command to use. It's called the key all. There's another command. Okay, let's take a look at nano. Nano is another command, and this particular command lets you create, edit, or modify a text file. So if I do nano and I do, for example, my install the readmes, which is one of the files that I've been showing you earlier in this tutorial, and if I hit enter, then I enter into like an editing mode that I could like edit stuff and type in stuff. Be like, okay, this is actually the Linux command tutorial, that kind of stuff. So I've added text to it, and down below the screen you see how you could use it. So if you want to save, you just do Control O. So this is the write out, and what is pointing up is the control. So I'm doing control here, and I'm on Mac, and I'm doing O, and then it verifies. It asks you to verify that this is the file name you want to save or write to, and I hit enter just to accept, and now it has saved. Now you have this number of lines in this particular stuff. It's counting the empty line here alongside, so I have 4 lines and stuff like that. To exit, I just have to do exit, which is a Control X. So if I do Control X, I exit that file. Now if I do cat of the install readme, you will see that what I added, it's now in that particular file here. And so that's how to use that. At some point you may like need permissions to use some of those stuff, so you may use things like sudo, you may use sudo to like edit some of the permissions and stuff like that. But yeah, so I've covered the rm, which is the removed for deleting stuff. There's also like the iconfig, which will allow you to like modify the configs. Okay, so let's clear the screen. wget, it's another great command that you should know. It's used for downloading files from the internet. So if you want to download file and you have the URL to any website, you just copy the URL and paste it here and use the wget, and that will download wherever that file is to your computer. So it's also very good to know, especially for downloading. Just make sure to check that your URL is ending with some extension. So for example, if it's an image, make sure that it's going to the website where that image is, but also it's pointing to the file name of that image. So it could be wget testimage.png. so make sure you have like .png there, so that you're downloading the exact file that you want. Okay, so that's that wget, especially if you want to download stuff from the internet. That's a very good command for you to know. Wait, so if I want to shut down my computer, which command do I use? What you want to use is, you want to use sudo shutdown now. Now. So if you do sudo shutdown or sudo shutdown now, it turns the computer off. I don't want to turn my computer off because I'm in a tutorial. You could also reboot. Or you could also do something like sudo reboot. That was like reboot your computer. There's also another command that I wanted to comment on. There is also the unzip. So it's supposed to download a file that has been zipped. So that we've been using the gzip the gzip before. Now you could also do unzip to unzip something that has been zipped, maybe with Windows computer or something. But you could also zip stuff with just the zip and then pass in the file name .extension, and that will zip it and to turn to .zip, and you could always extract this information with the unzip command. So the shutdown is crucial. It's good to know. There's also the da command, which is the directory. What it does is that it lists the content of a directory, and so if I do, there's no directory there because I'm not in a directory. You just do da and pass in the -a option, for example, and if you do enter, on Linux I'm pretty sure that will give you nice information about the directory. Okay, just know that there's a command called there. There's also a sort command that just sorts stuffs for you. I think that's not very crucial. There's also a paste command that pastes stuffs in your clipboard. There's exit that quit. And so suppose I create a new window here. So I just splitted my screen and I want to close this window. I just have to do something like exit, and that will quit that particular window for me. There's also another command called diff, which gives you the difference between two files. And so if I have a file called this here, let's paste that, then I have another file called this here. I want to see how different they are. If I hit enter, where you complain that that's not a directory, but if you do it on Linux, it will actually give you useful information in both of those files. Okay, so I was in the wrong place, that was why. So if I repeat that command again, then I could actually see that that was what's in the first one, and this demarcates what is in between the two files, and this is what is in the second one. So suppose content of this and this are the same, then you will see nothing because those will be the same. So that's a diff command. It's also very good. For example, if you have different versions of a particular file and you want to see what changed, you would just do diff first file and the second file, and that would give you the difference between the two files. There's also a tau command. A tau command that stands for like tape archive. So it's used to like create archive and extract like archive scripts. It's just think of it like archiving stuff, information, like zipping, kind of compressed information. You may not need it for now, but just know that also kind of like exists somewhere. Alright, let's clear our screen. So we'll do clear, and the next command is the ping. The ping actually it's a command for networking that allows you to like check network connectivity between, say, the host and the server. So suppose you connected through the server and you have the IP address, you could like check the connectivity by using the ping, and then you pass in your IP address, blah blah blah, whatever, and then you could see that to be pinging just to verify that there's connectivity. So it's also a very good command to know, especially when you start working with servers or you're connecting to a computer remotely. It's a very good command to know. There's another command that I wanted to talk about, which is chmod, which changes like the permissions for certain files. And so let me just create an example. So if I go into my demo again and I create a shell script here that calls and I call it go linux command. Okay, .shell. So that's a shell script, and to create it I want to pass in some command in it, so I'm using nano, so I'm able to type into this particular file. So it's not just creating it, it's creating with some content, and the content in this particular file I want it to do something like conda activate one of my environment called the SC, and from home it should execute go play. So if you run the cameras and it should cd back home, just do any task you want to do, and let's save that and exit. So if I let's now this particular file is here and it has those information in it, but I cannot execute it because it's just permissions is just readme. So if you do ls-la, for example, you see that this particular file, it's not a directory and it has to read, write, but it's not executable, so the x is absent. To grant that x permission, you have to use a command called chmod, and then I'll pass in the name of the script or the name of the file, and I could do chmod and the permission I want to give it 700. The 700 gives the full permission for execution for the current user, which is me. And if I hit enter, the color of that file will change to red, and if I repeat the ls-la, I should see that it has granted the execute permission to that particular file that initially was absent. Okay, and so that's how to use chmod. You could use 777, for example, if you want to grant the full permissions, and so you could do something like 7 is like the maximum number for read, write, and execute, so that if you do 777 it grants all the permissions. And if I repeat the ls-la now, then you could see that it has given the full permission compared to that before, where we was just the first user, the current one, which was I myself. Or you could also do something like chmod plus x to just add executability into that particular file. If you run that, and if I do ls-la, I should see that I will have that. So there are a bunch of ways, but chmod is what allows you basically to like grant the permission to make the file to be executable. That way I can be able to like do something like go, and that will run whatever it's in that particular file. So if I do now, it wouldn't work because the file, I moved them around, so it couldn't find this particular file at home. Okay, but it actually tried to like work on the content of that particular file. Could add echo in that particular script just to, so I print so I know that it's working and stuff like that. Another one is called the array sync. So the array sync allows you to like sync stuff, so like copy from one place, not really a copy, but it compares your scripts or your files and then sees that if something's different, it updates it, so it just syncs your file basically. And so you could do something like array sync -auv, and if I want to sync this particular file to the home, so I'm syncing this, and from home I want to sync it there and leave it as the same name. I could either paste it as the same name, or I could just leave it that way, and that will sync. So it has sent it now, and you can see that it was sending the increment, and it sent that one. So if I go back home now, I should see that file somewhere, which was this one. I don't need it here, so I'll remove it, send it rm-that and paste that particular name, and that voila, that goes away. Okay, so it has gone. So there is also the scp, which is also for copy. Instead of like using the copy that we did, you could also use this one and provide the source path. And so say I'm here, I want to copy this guy, then I will paste that there, and then provide a destination. So I want it to go into the rc and Bernard code, and voila, if I hit now, it will copy this particular file into this particular location and keep it as that, but I don't want to do that. And so these are the vital Linux command. There are a few you should know as a beginner. Once you know these ones and you master these ones, I promise you, you're like 80% done with Linux. Like, good, know what all the hackers are doing, and you're good to go to work in a very reputed company. It could be maybe IT or whatever you want to work with, and your life will be way more easier. Once you're good with this stage, then you could start thinking of any other tasks that you want to do on Linux, and that would be pretty simple. Please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment below if you found the content of this video useful, and just know that the more you interact with this video, the more it's able to like locate people who are like new and are looking for this kind of resources. So the more you interact with it, the better for it, for the YouTube algorithm to figure out, oh, this is a great content, and push it out to other people that may need it. So please subscribe and hit the like button, comment, share it with your friends, and see you in my next videos. Bye.